Yesterday, the Rotary Scholarship Committee met to make a determination on our Student of the Year scholarship grant. We're at the time of graduations, that marvelous time of saying goodbye and entering new chapters in life. In Jesus' message here in this long, if you will, graduation oration, Jesus says a remarkable thing. In some translations, this reads, "You are no longer disciples, students, but friends." That would be something if the teachers and school administrations said that to the graduating class. But this is Jesus speaking quite pointedly now to his followers. You are my friends. The metaphor of the vine and branches has now been translated into a very specific relationship, extended into this wonderful image of friendship. And I just want to spend a little bit of time, and you're lucky my voice might not be able to hold out through the whole talk, so we're in good shape. Friendship presumes a basic equality. We talk about a jury of one's peers, if you will, a jury of one's friends, people who know us, good, bad, and indifferent, people who can see beyond or past the artifice that we place in front of each other to get along in the world, and they know us as us. Friendships are chosen, or at least they emerge often from a common experience. We'll talk about sometimes we're lucky enough to have some lifelong friends. It might be the first kid we met at preschool, the kid who was our next door neighbor, the kid that we were in line behind in a team that we were trying out for. Jesus makes a decisive move here from the unequal position of top down, master, servant, teacher, student. Jesus speaks of the disciples, us, as friends. I was raised with World War II movies. The deepest example of friendship, of comradeship, that maybe I ever saw were those movies. People who were joined together in a common mission and would do just what Jesus said, lay down one's life for a friend. Further, that bond was so tight that when a friend was wounded or killed, it was as if part of us dies as well. Friendship is a very particular sort of love, isn't it? On Mother's Day, we celebrate that wonderful love of mother and child, child for mother. There's the romantic love. But there's this asexual, not biological love, friendship, that in so many ways defines our lives too and gives it texture. The easy part when we're planning a wedding is inviting the family. That's just collecting addresses. But getting that list of friends, sometimes pared down, sometimes extended, is a real trick. Sometimes the folks that make the toasts or speeches at a rehearsal dinner or at the wedding, sometimes as a sister, sometimes a family member, sometimes a brother, but often they're the best man, the maid of honor is one's best friend. And if anything tests a friendship, it's that speech the best man or the maid or matron of honor give at that wedding. We can't even imagine some of the best times of our lives being without friends. One of the reasons I think people look back on their 20s with such longing is that that's when their friendships were the deepest and the most important. Maybe before that time, they were pairing off into future families. For some reason, songs and images of friendship have been bubbling around inside me of late. In popular song, we do have things about friendship. You've got a friend. There was a song, I think it was the Golden Girls TV show, Thank You for Being a Friend. Bette Midler sang, You've Got to Have Friends, was her closing number, if I remember right, for years and years. Elton John sang of the road being lighter when you have friends along the way. The eminent philosopher Bruce Springsteen has written eulogies for friends and dedicated certain songs to his friends in the band who have passed. In a romantic song, though, that also fits friendship, he sang, I'll wait for you. Should I fall behind, wait for me. Our daughters were in the Indianapolis Children's Choir for years. And every year at the end, the seniors would sing Friends by Michael W. Smith. As I said, movies will show the depth of comradeship, usually in wartime. But movies like The Return of Secaucus 7, The Big Chill, were all about friendship. The Jeff Goldblum character in that movie said he knew that this group of friends were his best friends forever because he always felt at his best with this group of people. Some of the best TV shows are wrapped around friendship, whether it's Lucy and Ethel, or the work friendships of MASH and Mary Tyler Moore, or comedies going from Friends to How I Met Your Mother to The Big Bang Theory. All of these odes to friendship are a remarkable ode to love in our time, in this hyper-sexualized environment in which we live. It's a pure sort of love, unencumbered by all the expectations we place around other intimate relationships. And it's no accident that Jesus introduces this image of himself as friends with the idea of joy. Joy is divine friendship. In survey after survey, joy does not appear to be the first word to leap to mind when people describe Christians. But here Jesus is describing that virtue in his relationship with us and us to Jesus as friends. When I was a kid, we emphasized integration a lot more than we do now. We emphasized an openness to having friends from a variety of backgrounds. But now, inclusivity has a mandatory feel, and we've reacted against it. And what we emphasize now is friendship based on affinity, on commonality of interest. And sadly, it seems to me that our ambit of friendships have grown smaller, even though we use the word for this vast number of people that we call Facebook friends. And it continues to trouble me that we say that Facebook friends are more meaningful to us than our flesh and blood friends, in part because they're images on the screen and they're not in friendship. In fact, if pushed, I find friendship a remarkable sort of love because it moves past the sort of unitive things we talk about in marriage. We don't talk about lighting unity candles in a marriage. In marriage, like we do we wouldn't consider it in a friendship. I always laugh that sometimes I have to argue with the couples that yes, we light the unity candle to represent this institution, this public love, this family that you're creating. But so often they'll want to blow out the two candles that represent themselves as if they only exist fused in that unity candle. Friendship understands they're two separate lights. We never say, at least I've never even considered, that a friendship is the same soul in two different bodies. Friendship is distinction, two distinct selves who occupy the same social space. They're two souls who find common ground in spite of, because of, or being blind to differences that could keep us far, far apart with another person or another circumstance. Addison wrote that friendship doubles our joys and divides our griefs. Proverbs 18 reminds us of a signal truth. A good friend may well stick by us longer and closer than our deepest kin. We often say that a sign of a good friend is that we can be apart for a good while and pick up where we left off fairly easily. A good friend is someone with whom we can let down our guard and take off our mask and be ourselves. A good friend is the one with whom we share our joys and sorrows and find them not judged, but reflected. On the plane to Florida, my friend Stuart wrote me that his mother had passed away. And he recalled so many years ago when I drove up with him so that he could be with his mom when his father passed away after a long illness. We share our griefs, we share our joys and find them redoubled. But it's also true that neglect of friendships leave a lot of our friendships cast off along the roadside, forgotten or ignored. Jesus Christ calls himself our friend. How do we nurture that friendship? Sometimes we sing, "What a friend we have in Jesus" in church, or to ourselves. I was reminded by one of my classmates back in seminary that we had a brilliant attorney who left in a very successful practice to study with us, and that he would hum "Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine" when he'd get stressed, so that it was the soundtrack of his Greek and Hebrew classes. Somebody with whom he could share his life. We commit our friendship with Jesus in so many places by our prayer, our communication. We unburden ourselves to a friend and still be accepted as a friend. At best, confession is speaking with a spiritual friend to admit some wrong and to try to figure out a way to make some restitution, to build back some bridges that have been burned. In the end, what is therapy but having a professional friend to weigh one's troubles with perspective, to point out obstacles to our well-being, whether they're from the outside or self-imposed. A 50-cent word for friend is companion. It means someone with whom we share bread. If friend seems too close, too intimate, perhaps use that word instead. Jesus is our true companion. Someone who shares our life, who walks along with us, who's always there for us, always on our side. This great sign of a good friend is someone who can celebrate our triumphs without a hint of envy. Why them instead of me? In just a couple weeks, we'll literally be sharing the bread of life together, the bread that joins us to our companion in life, the one with whom we share bread, share love, share life. We are given such a precious gift in the Christian church. Jesus Christ, as we said just a few weeks ago, as Thomas did, my Lord and my God. But that self-same Jesus tells us across the years, also your friend. Jesus Christ calls us my friend.